I had a very good night's sleep. Man, waking up with that project off my plate, something else. I had a really it was quite something, feeling myself come through that eye of the needle moment, as I've been talking about for the last couple of days. Sorry for those of you who are just hopping in and this is the first post you've seen and you're like, what is he talking about? I've been working on an arrangement for the last several weeks, and one song in particular for at least a week, probably more like a week and a half or two, and just coming through that, looking good. It's all feeling good. It's all right, and I feel like I'm kind of coming out the other side of it, just in time for the holidays. I on a kind of, that's not really what I've been posting about recently. What I've actually been really focused on, and this is something that showed up again today, really in an interesting way. So I've talked to you over the last couple of days about how here and there I'll notice myself going into this, what I call like my favorite drug, of my favorite emotional drug, and mine seems to be some sort of righteous indignation. Like, I have a right to be frustrated with people. I have a right to be upset that someone hasn't done something the way I wanted them to. And so I've been and I realized at some point, wow, the first thing I noticed was, wow, the feeling's always the same. It doesn't matter what, I mean, there are nuances to the circumstances, but the emotion underneath is kind of always the same. And so it's almost like I'll pick any circumstance to just hang that emotion on, and that's good enough. And that was when I started to, this is what I started to see a few days ago. Like, whoa, I'm doing this left and right. It's always the same. Then yesterday I started tracking, or yesterday and the day before I started tracking. And again, this is the most recent iteration of this realization. It's not the first time I've ever felt this stuff, but it's another layer, and it's a deeper layer than I've ever gone to. But I started to realize, oh my God, look at the cost of doing this. The cost of doing this is that I'm not spending my energy and time and psychic energy focusing on the people that I love and the things that I love and the blessings in my life and the light, all of the amazing, incredible cosmic serendipity that is every moment. That's so obvious when we really think about it, when we really let ourselves observe it. The cost, and like, for example, so for me it came right home to, like, here I am thinking, I'm sitting in meditation and I'm rehearsing how angry I am for an hour. What if I were thinking about my daughter and how much I love her? Wouldn't that change my entire life? So that was next step. Then this morning, I got to where I was sitting in meditation, and I had a really interesting sensation. I'm not sure if I've ever quite felt this before this clearly, because I had the sensation of, like, I'm in meditation, I'm in the practice, I feel thoughts coming in, and I'm letting them go. Thoughts are kind of coming and going. But underneath, I felt this emotion, like, trying to bubble up. And it was like, the sensation was as though the emotion was scanning the thoughts. It's like if the emotion was this bubble kind of underneath the surface, and the thoughts are sort of drifting in and out of the frame of the awareness. The emotion was like crouched down here, like looking for a thought that it could reach up and grab a hold of. And and it was that same emotion. It was the same frustration emotion. And but the difference between today and any other time really is that I felt the emotion, I felt the mechanics of how this happens really explicitly. So I've observed that this is how it works, and I know at this point it's clear that the emotion is primary and the thoughts are secondary. The thoughts are being, well, the thoughts are being fueled and enhanced and exploded by the emotion's desire to hook in there and feel what it wants to feel itself. But the real distinction and the fact that I was watching the emotional, my emotional level sort of like try for that to happen, but that I was able to see that was really interesting, because I was like, oh, now that I'm really getting the hang of this, now that I'm really getting a sense of both what I'm identifying the emotion. So as soon as it hooks into a thought, or as soon as I get into a thought pattern that is fueling that, I kind of notice. It's like I don't have to I don't play the angry tape for as long before I go, wait, I'm playing the angry tape again. I hear it. I know this tape. I've heard it a million times. I know this tape. It's the same tape. Because of course the tape tries to convince you that it's not the same tape by using different thoughts. It's different thoughts this time. I'm frustrated and pissed off and righteously indignant about a completely different thing than I was pissed off and righteously indignant about yesterday. So they're not even related, is what I'm trying to be convinced of by my own mind. But watching that process happen and sort of unsuccessfully happen. Like it was like the emotion was here, and it was kind of like it was like a little cat, like waiting to pounce. Where can I pounce? And it started to bring like the thoughts that, like there, it was almost kind of like, I forget, without any specific, I can't remember the specifics, but like this, there was like circumstances were like auditioning for the role of righteously indignant Robin emotion. So like the thought would kind of come over here, and the emotion would go, are you right for the part? I don't know, maybe if I think I can, because it's like it'll do anything. It's like, I'll bet if I can just take this approach to it, then I can hook into this circumstance and feel myself. It was truly bizarre, because it was really like I had these thoughts, these little thought bubbles that would come up, and they would literally, the thoughts didn't know they were auditioning, but my emotional director was sitting in the dark but with the lights off, going, are you right? Can I see you in the role of Robin's righteous indignation? I don't know, not quite right. Next, it was really kind of incredible to see that process attempt to happen, but not quite be able to fulfill itself, because I was watching it. That process thrives on happening in the dark. It thrives on being unconscious. It can't happen when it's conscious, because it would be like, it would be like putting on a puppet and thinking your hand had turned into a bunny rabbit. Like, you don't think that. You're wearing a puppet. It would be that you're conscious of what you're conscious that you're imitating something. You're conscious that you're doing something that's artificial. Same thing here. This process is artificial, and if it's observed, it can't effectively happen. It can only happen when it's unconscious. So that it felt like a step forward today, in that I was observing it sort of try to happen. And I think that precisely because I've been observing it for the last several days and weeks, and letting my awareness just become more and more clear and more still, letting each of these aspects of what's going on rest in my awareness, I was therefore able to kind of like it was like I was moving back in the house, like sitting, it's all theater metaphors today, I don't know. I'm sitting further and further back in the rows of seats, and I'm seeing more and more, like the further I get from the stage, the more I'm like, oh, It's a play. I'm watching a play. It's not real. It's not actually, I'm not actually in the, I don't know, Russia in the time of Chekhov. I'm taking this way too far. You get my point. I was observing something and I was able to see that it was not real. And I look forward to now, but the emotion was still there. That bubble was still there. And it certainly had its eye on, these dancing thoughts. It was like, ooh, which one? Just you wait. I just need one to walk out there that's right for the part, and it's going to be cast. I'm going to send them straight to wardrobe. All right, I'll quit. I'll stop. You get the point. But it was really exciting to see that happen. Really fun to notice, I'm gaining a measure of agency over the process because I'm observing it. I'm just an iota more conscious. Each time it tries to happen, I'm just a smidge more conscious than I was before. And so it's like it can't, I know the puppet's fake. I know it's a puppet. It's not a thing, not a real thing. Anyway, thank you, people. Love you so much. I truly think that the last 4, 5, 6 days of this post are the only reason that I'm having this realization. The consistent showing up and articulating what's happening is central to creating this understanding for myself. I could do this work internally, but the fact that I express it to you and the fact that it's being received and responded to and engaged with is such a massive gift. So thank you deeply. So much love. I'll see you tomorrow.